Baileys have guided Chuck Schumer's political life, which is a little weird given they don't exist. Seriously, he invented them. It might be worth asking, is that a good idea? Because the truth is, Schumer's devotion to his imaginary friends may help explain why he and the Democratic Party have been so underwhelming in recent years, because he seems to be focusing a huge amount on the interest of the Baileys from Long Island, while forgetting other voters actually exist.
That's political commentator and former Daily Show correspondent John Oliver turning on Democrats and torching Chuck Schumer for being so elitist he has to invent imaginary voters just to pretend he understands the struggles of regular Americans. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and it looks like Chuck Schumer's imaginary friends are getting more attention than actual voters. Because when even John Oliver is roasting Democrats for elitism, it's clear they have bigger problems than just low approval ratings in the polls. And you know this takedown was spitting fire because it's got both sides of the aisle praising it. Here's Oliver laying out how Schumer built his entire political career around fictional people instead of engaging with the real Americans he's supposed to represent.
But I actually want to talk less about Chuck Schumer himself and more about two of his favourite people, Joe and Eileen Bailey. They're a couple that throughout Schumer's career he has talked about a lot.
He's an insurance adjuster and lives in the New York suburbs. By New York standards, he makes $50,000 a year. If he lived in the middle of the country, he'd make 40. Wife works in a medical office. She makes about 20. She might make 15 elsewhere.
They're a middle-class couple in Massapequa, which is a suburb on Long Island.
The Baileys really don't believe in trickle-down. They don't believe in a whole lot of government spending, but they believe in tax breaks for kids to go to college.
Joe and Eileen are worried about losing their jobs or their friends' jobs.
And you know, I have guided my political life through the Baileys.
Schumer first introduced the world to the Baileys in his 2007 book, Positively American, Winning Back the Middle-Class Majority, One Family at a Time. In it, he mentions the Baileys an astonishing 265 times in 264 pages. But he'd apparently been talking about them for years before the book was published. One of his former spokespeople said he's always asking, what would the Baileys think? And to be fair, Schumer acknowledges that some may find this a little weird.
If you ask my staff, I've been talking about and talking to the Baileys for 15 years. I have conversations with them. One of my staffers once said I had imaginary friends to the press. Got me in some trouble. But these people are real, and I respect them, and I really love them, and I care about them.
Okay, sure, but they're literally not real, Chuck. But the Baileys do seem to have a lot of sway over Schumer's politics, as he's brought them up when discussing everything from the 2008 financial crisis to cybersecurity, which he framed as protecting the security the Baileys feel when they go online to buy birthday presents.
You know, even Scott Jennings couldn't resist jumping in on this one, posting Oliver's segment on X and blasting Schumer for basing his entire worldview on fictional New Yorkers, asking whether he belongs in the Senate or an asylum. And he's right, this isn't just some harmless quirk. It's the perfect snapshot of Democrat elitism, pretending to channel the voice of average Americans while never leaving the bubble. I mean, when your go-to method of connecting with voters is role-playing conversations with people who don't exist, you're not listening, you're scripting a fantasy that always fits your agenda. That's why Democrats keep missing the mark on the issues that actually matter to real people. Here's Oliver pointing out how this obsession morphed into an elitist echo chamber that's completely cut off from the voters Democrats claim to represent.
But even if you can understand the potential utility of creating a prototypical voter in your head, this goes way beyond that, because Schumer's given the Baileys an unnecessarily detailed backstory. For instance, he said Joe takes off his cap and sings along with the national anthem before the occasional Islanders game. Okay. And when their daughter Megan, oh yeah, they've got kids, by the way, told Eileen a friend was caught cheating on a quiz, Eileen was appalled because lying is not tolerated in the house ever. Also, Eileen apparently helps with the clothing drive at her church, and her father had a prostate cancer scare a few years ago. Again, this is a made-up family. None of these people exist. But wait, I'm still not done. Apparently, Joe Bailey would never have a goatee. They watch Sex and the City and Desperate Housewives, though Joe pretends not to like either show. They think most baseball players probably take steroids, and if they were to ever go out to a Chinese restaurant, they would order Kung Pao chicken. That is a J.R.R. Tolkien level of gratuitous backstory, and I don't say that lightly. For all he talks about how much he loves the Baileys, they don't seem to return that love, because in 2021, he explained how the Baileys had voted in the past few presidential elections.
They voted for Clinton, and then they voted for Bush. They're not a member of one party or another. They're independent.
Did they vote for Donald Trump?
Both of them did in 2016. Joe Bailey still did in 2020 with misgivings, but she didn't.
Yeah. The Baileys voted for Trump. And just this March, a reporter actually got an update on their voting history.
You said the Baileys voted for Trump in 2016. They split Trump-Biden in 2020. I'm wondering who they voted for in 2024.
Probably voted for Trump. Probably voted for Trump. But if you ask them why, I think they'd say above all crime.
Okay, so to recap, of the 6 votes the Baileys had across the last 3 presidential elections, 5 went to Donald Trump, most recently because of crime.
I mean, Oliver's like a broken clock. Wrong on plenty, but not wrong about the sheer elitism driving Democrats off a cliff. While Trump was out actually speaking to working class voters, circumventing establishment media, jumping on podcasts, and even spending a day at McDonald's, the left was too busy ridiculing him and cooking up fake origin stories for Kamala Harris. That authenticity, alongside people like J.D. Vance, let them scoop up huge swaths of the working class and minorities who finally saw through decades of Democrat lies. And when even a liberal like Oliver says it, and conservative Scott Jennings amplifies it, you know the problem's obvious to everyone. The cracks in their narrative aren't just showing, they're widening fast and becoming more apparent by the day. But let me know what you think. Does Schumer's Bailey's obsession show how far Democrats have drifted from reality? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.